Alright guys, here we are with section 9.2, day 2. Okay, and today we're learning about the focus and the directrix. If you think back to our day 1 notes, those were maybe included there when we were talking about how we're going to have a sketch. Okay, and the focus is going to be on the inside of the parabola. It's going to curve around that focus, and the directrix is going to be a line on the other side of the parabola. And the parabola is actually going to be equidistant. All the points on the parabola are equidistant from the focus and from the directrix. Okay, and we're going to learn how to do these parabolas from that information. Okay, so if our vertex is at -1, -5, and these are going by 2, so be careful. -1, -5. That's our vertex. Okay. And our focus is at -5, -5. I'm going to use an X or some other symbol besides a dot there, guys, for the focus. That way I don't confuse the two. Okay? So the distance from the focus to the vertex is going to be the same distance from the vertex to the directrix, our imaginary line back there. So if these are 4 apart, then I know my directrix is going to be 4 apart. 2, 4. It's going to be right down the line there at x equals 3. Okay? So I've got my focus, my vertex. I now know my directrix is at x equals 3. Okay, how can I get my equation or my formula for my parabola and graph that? Okay, so this is going to be opening sideways. It's going to be opening to the left, bending around the focus. So it's the sideways one, so I know it's an x equals a times, okay, my vertex is at -1, -5. So this is going to be y. So I put the y coordinate in there, minus a -5 makes that actually a plus. Opposite inside the parentheses. And now my x coordinate goes on the back side over here. Okay, 99% of these that you've probably done before have been a y equals x squared. Okay, where the opposite in here is the opposite of x, your side to side, and your one out here is your y, which goes up and down. This is just the opposite of that. Okay, this is the opposite of your y value from your vertex, and then your x value goes out here. Okay, now we need to find out what our a is. Okay, our formula for a is a equals 1 over 4c. And c is the distance between our focus to vertex, which is also the same as vertex to directrix. Okay? And that distance this time is 4. Now we have to use a little bit of common sense here as well. Alright? Is this parabola going to open to the positive way, positive x, or is it going to be going this way, negative x? Okay, it's going to be curving this way towards the negative direction, so this is going to be a -1/16. Excuse me. Okay, so our formula here is going to be x equals -1/16 y plus 5 squared minus 1. Alright, then how would I get some points? Okay, you could do your table. Alright, you could do your table. X, Y. Alright, you're going to try to build them up around your vertex at -1, -5. But this time we're going to be filling in along the y values. -4, -3, -6, -7. Okay, you go through and fill those in. It's not going to be too much of a help if you put -3 in. We get -1.25, -1.0625, and those reflect over on the other side. So these are going to be tough to graph. Okay? Negative 1.0625, just barely past it. It's going to come out looking real pancake flat here, guys. Alright, with a negative 1/16, maybe we want to go 4 away. So if we go 4 to the sides, 4 squared would be 16 times 1/16 is going to be 1. So if I were to go difference of 4, 2, 4, I'm only going to finally go up 1, or change my other coordinate 1, 2, 4, 1. You can see how it's real flat. Be looking a little bit like that. Alright. Same idea here for the second one. Vertex is at negative 2. I'm going by ones again over here. Negative 2, 1, 2, comma 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. My directrix is at x equals negative 1, so vertical line here. Okay, which means if this is a distance of 1, it means my focus is there. And my focus then is negative 3, comma 4. Okay, because I saw, from the vertex to the directrix, that's a distance of 1. So it's got to be the same over here for my focus, negative 3, comma 4. Okay, we can kind of see that it's going to make a curve like this. It's sideways, which tells me it's going to be a x equals y squared, and it's pointing to the negative side, to the left, so it's going to be a negative a value. Okay, so let's get this started. X equals a times y minus 4 squared, opposite of your y coordinate, and then it's going to be the same as your x coordinate, minus 2. Okay, what is our a value? Remember, a equals, sitting still too long, lights went out. A equals 1 over 4c. My c value there was 1, so that's going to be 1 over 4 times 1. It's 1/4, and it's opening to the left, so that's going to be negative 1/4. Negative 1/4, y minus 4 parentheses squared minus 2. Okay. Negative 1/4 is pretty easy one to do for us here if you follow in this method where we go out 1. 1 squared would be 1, but it's times a fourth, so I'm only going to go up a fourth. Out 2 would be 2 squared is 4. I would normally go out 4, but it's times a fourth. 4 times a fourth is going to be 1. And we're kind of off the graph on this side. If we wanted to keep going this way, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squared is 16, times the fourth is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we can get an idea of what our graph should look like. Coming down like this. Going to keep going up like that. Okay, we can even throw in an axis of symmetry. Cut down the middle of it. Our axis of symmetry. It's a horizontal line, so it's going to be y equals, and then you just copy the y coordinate of your vertex. So far, so good. Okay. Let's do another. Keep it going. This time they give us the focus and the directrix and no vertex. Okay, so focus is at 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Directrix is at y equals 8. Horizontal line at 8. Okay? Oh man, where's our vertex going to be? Remember that the vertex is equidistant from the directrix and the focus. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So halfway between would be 3. 1, 2, 3. Our vertex is going to go there at 3, 5. 3, 5. Okay. Now, it's going to curve around the focus. It's going to be an up and down one. So it's going to be a y equals. And it's going to go down, which tells me it's going to be a negative a value. So what is my a value? A equals 1 over 4 times the distance here, times 3. That's 1/12. And it's going to be a down, so that's going to be a negative 1/12. Negative 1/12 times x. Now we're using the x coordinate first. Minus 3. And then my y value for the vertex is 5, so plus 5 there. Okay, if you want to make a table or a chart, you sure could for this. Again, guys, I think it's easier just to follow along this pattern. 1 out, so 1 squared is 1 times our multiplier, negative 1/12. So barely down. This is going to be real flat as well. Okay, 2 out. 2 squared is 4 times 1/12 is negative third. Barely lower. Alright. 3 squared, 9 times negative 1/12. Negative 3/4. Barely lower yet. 4 squared, 16 times negative 1/12. We'll have negative 4/3 just across and down a little bit more. You can see how pretty flat that is. Okay. Okay, so we got that one graphed. Okay, we could do our axis of symmetry if we wanted to. They gave us the focus and the directrix. We have the vertex. We have our a value. A lot of good stuff going on there, guys. Alright. One special problem over here, D. Okay. One special problem there talking about the lattice rectum. Alright, let's take a quick look here back in the book. We talked about this for like 2 seconds. Okay. Alright, the lattice rectum, it goes from side to side of the parabola through the focus, perpendicular to our axis of symmetry. Alright, and our length of that is going to be 1 over a, an absolute value of 1 over a. Okay, so when it gives me this, the length 4 equals 1 over a, absolute value. Alright, so how would I solve this? Okay, you can multiply a up, divide 4 down, or if you want to change this to 4 over 1 and look at it as a cross multiply and divide situation, our a is going to be 1/4. Okay, it's a vertical one, so it's going to be either opening up or opening down. Our a value here is less than 0. Remember that formula from the book where the length was 1 over a, that was an absolute value, so you don't really have a way to tell. So that's why they're going to give us this right here to tell if it's positive or negative, because it was in absolute value bars. So less than 0 tells me this is going to be negative. Negative 1/4. Okay? And then I have the vertex. So I have everything I need for my equation here. It's opening vertically, which is going to be a y equals our a value, negative 1/4, x minus a negative 1, so plus 1 squared, minus 1. Okay, if I can graph that, negative 1, negative 1 for the vertex. If I go out 1 squared is 1, times the negative 4, if I go down 1/4. If I go out 2 squared would have been 4, but it's times negative 1/4. 4 times negative 1/4 is negative 1. I go down 1. 3 won't be very nice. 4 would be 4 squared is 16 times negative 1/4 is negative 4. So I go out 4, down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry guys, you stare at these grids all day and your eyes start to go blurry and you can't count properly. Okay, there's our graph of that. Now where's my directrix and my focus going to go? Okay, well, normally we would have A equals 1 over 4C, okay, but I already know the A, 1/4. 1 over 4 times C. Alright, so we could do a little cross multiply and solve here, or we could recognize that, what do I need that C value to be in order to keep this the same? Because 1/4 would equal 1/4. If that C was a 1, then all this would stay the same. So my C value is 1, which means the distance from my vertex to my focus is 1, and the distance from my vertex to the directrix is 1. So it's going to be going through this line there, the x-axis. So my focus is at -1, -2, and my directrix is the x-axis, or y equals 0, that flat line there. Okay, that should do us for day 2. As far as day 3 goes, there's really nothing new. Maybe peek back at the day 1 video and review writing equations in standard form. Make sure you remember how to do that. This is what we did do a couple off of these for day 3 notes. Okay, we just looked at standard form from day 1, going back and changing these into the standard form by completing the square. We also looked at one of these just to kind of refresh what we did on day 2. Other than that, there's nothing new. You had a worksheet for homework. Hopefully this will help. Best of luck, guys. Get it done.